I'm also a student in seminary. I attend Meadville Lombard Theological School, and in a few years or so I will finish, and then you can call me Reverend. Thank you for joining us today in our sanctuary. The UUCL Board of Trustees has updated their COVID policies. Given that Polk County has finally reached low transmission status and the CDC is no longer recommending masks for indoor gatherings, we have updated our policy to a mask optional one. That means that certainly you can wear one if you are comfortable, but you don't have to inside. It also means that here in this caring community, we respect people and the choices they make to mask or not. We all have different comfort levels and different health risks. Just please be sure to ask one another what they are comfortable with before getting too close. We are going to sing today, so please space yourselves comfortably or wear a mask if you like. I would like to add that, yes, we will continue to stream our services on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Additionally, if you feel sick and have symptoms, please stay home and join us on one of these virtual platforms. And thank you all for making UUCL a caring community.
Welcome to the worship service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lakeland. My name is Rachel Walter, and I use the pronoun she, her. We are glad you are here today, whether in person or virtually. UUCL is an affirming community, and whatever your gender identity, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, abilities, or theological beliefs, you are welcome here. We would love to get to know you better, so please join us after the service on the patio, or if on Zoom, please say hello through the chat feature. We publish a newsletter every Wednesday, and it is the main source of information for what goes on around here, so be sure to sign up. If you already receive it, be sure to read it to find out the great things happening around here.
Of special importance, and that which you need to know, we need help on the first Fridays of the month at our tent in downtown Lakeland for their First Friday events. We're trying to form teams that can rotate. And so if you are on a team, you would go to First Friday maybe every, well, depends on how many teams we would have. If we had 4 teams, it would be every few months. And that would make life easier on everyone. So if you're interested in that, please let
me know.
Let Amber know. Thank you. Keep switching. Potluck is today, so please be sure to stay with us and have some food and chat and get to know one another. We also have our pledge forms. They are all nice and neatly done by our finance committee. Thank you. And if you don't have one, haven't gotten one in the mail, or handed one by one of our pledge committee people, they are sitting on the back table there, and you are free to take one and to fill it out and hand it to Rachel or Gail or Ken and Dorothy. Okay, I'd like to say thank you to the worship committee who met this past Wednesday. And we came up with some fun summer worship ideas, and also we decided to start Wednesday night worship programming again. And so, yay, we're going to just one thing at a time so we're not overwhelmed. On April 20th, that's a week and a half, we're going to start with dinner worship, which was always one of our favorites pre-COVID. We'll start with that at 6:30 p.m. And so what we do is we'll make a big pot of rice, and you bring a topping to share with everyone to put on that rice, and then we have conversation, and we say the conversation is the sermon. So that's Wednesday, April 20th at 6:30 p.m. And also a big thank you to our creative and production team. We've worked very hard this week in many different ways. You can see that there are these chrysalises that have appeared throughout the sanctuary, just full of wonder and surprise and transformation. So thank you to our chrysalis crafter, Joshua, for those and getting us ready for whatever is going to Petra for putting so much time into making the sanctuary look good. And thank you to our tech team, all of whom work full-time jobs as well and show up here early on Sunday mornings and make this thing happen. And also, we work really hard at our relationships so that we can be the best team possible and bring you the best worship experience that we can. So thank you to everyone. Let us enter into this sacred space where we celebrate our connected circle of life. Breathe in, feeling the spirit of love in the center of your soul. And breathe out that love towards all your relations. Connected, we are whole.
Once More by Amy Bowden Freeman. Once more the earth has turned towards the light of the sun. As we are bathed in the light of a new day, so may we greet the dawning of fresh possibility. Once more we awaken from our slumber as our bodies rise to meet the challenges and pleasures of living. So may our hearts and minds open with promise. Once more we gather for worship. And as we join our voices in word and song, so may this assembly bring forth wholeness. Come, let us worship. Okay. Let us signify the creation of this sacred space where we join together and awaken to the journey. Let us light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Today, our chalice lighter is Robin Douglas. We light this chalice to honor the possibilities that this faith awakens to. Hope amongst grief, joy woven with pain, and the depth of meaningful relationships to sustain us. Please join us in singing and signing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123.
Let us turn to honor the weaving of joys and sorrows that run throughout all of our lives. We engage in this ritual every week as a way to honor the awakening to the complexities of life, the joys and the sorrows, and to the knowing that we are all in this together. We will invite you up to the chalice table to place stones in the water for the joys and sorrows you carry with you today. The green stones are for joy, white for concern, and blue for sorrow. If you are on Zoom, we will say your name and put a stone in for you so that we all know that we are together and connected, striving towards wholeness. If you want a specific color stone put in for you, please say so in the chat. Otherwise, we'll put a green stone in for you because it's a joy to have you with us virtually. Musicians will play while we participate in this ritual. Judy Powell, Pat Malone. Thank you. Please join me now in singing a hymn of gratitude and praise on this beautiful spring morning. Alhamdulillah.
Good morning. Feel free to rise on up. Do we have words on the screen? We might have a title. If not, it's just one word, Alhamdulillah. And it goes something like this. Feel free to rise on up. Let's sing if you're able. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. All right, this group, you're going to follow Petra and Mark. Petra, oh, wait, he's with the wrong, okay. Sorry, Petra and Joshua. That group over there, Glenda and Mark. Here we go. Thanks be to God. My Unitarian Universalist translation of this is, thank you, Spirit of life, for all that is. It shouldn't be much of a surprise to hear that Alhamdulillah is an important and oft recited word in Islamic culture. After all, to exclaim such gratitude on a regular basis surely is essential to awakening and to staying awake. The Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep." I have a practice of saying thank you and being grateful when I wake up each day. I hear the ecstatic sounds of the Carolina wren outside my window, telling me that the sun is coming up for another glorious day. Thank you, wren. Thank you, sun. Thank you, spirit of life and all that exists. I lay in bed for a while more, for I am not an early riser. And I may fall back asleep before the cat comes around, demanding I get up. She's not as gracious as the wren. I then make the coffee because it really is the only way for me to not go back to sleep. But am I awake? Really awake from that point on? Let's take a moment here to consider exactly what awake and awakening means. If I am awake, as an eyes open, body moving, mind engaging in the tasks at hand, but am not truly present in and aware of each moment, am I truly awake? Or do I merely move into a living slumber, trudging through the daily tasks that I think need to be done, but overlooking the moments that actually deserve more attention? Am I just passing through life unaware of all its gifts? Am I becoming bitter about all the things I don't get to enjoy, rather than awakening and feeling gratitude to all that I do get to enjoy? How about you? Are you truly awake and soaked in gratitude? This sleeping through wakefulness seems pretty common in America, where many of us are workers, consumers, stuck in a system that seemingly automates us, clouding our sight so we can't see what's really important. But what is it exactly that is really important? How do we awaken to what really matters? How do we know? As I mentioned last week, I asked my sister, who lives in an Arabic country, married a Muslim man and is raising her 6 children as Muslim, about this word, alhamdulillah. We say it all the time, she tells me. It's very important. It's a strong word, she says. What do you mean strong, I ask. She replied, when people ask you, how are you? You reply, alhamdulillah. How's everything? Alhamdulillah. How is so-and-so? Alhamdulillah. Did you finish your test? Alhamdulillah. I wonder to myself if it doesn't lose meaning by saying it so often, kind of weakening it, but she says it's a strong word. So it's an expression of gratitude, I ask. Does it lift gratitude up as an essential value in Islamic culture? Yes. And she goes on to say, we even say it when something bad happens. Alhamdulillah is a deeper and more sacred expression of gratitude than a simple thank you. My sister is the head social worker in the neonatal intensive care unit in a hospital in Doha, Qatar. On a regular basis, she witnesses families facing tragedies, sick babies being born, sick babies dying. She tells me that one thing she noticed when she first started working in the NICU several years ago was that parents did not react in ways that she was used to people reacting in the United States. She noticed that their coping techniques were seemingly completely different. First of all, there is a lot of family support. But also, there's that gratefulness to Allah, alhamdulillah, for all that is and all that was and all that is ever present. She says they accept what is given to them. It's not to say that they don't need therapy and grief support, because they do. It's just that they get through it with a certain, and here she's struggling with the word and she didn't really know what to call it, but she came up with this calmness. It still seems mysterious to her.
My sister almost lost her youngest son in a car accident last summer. I spent hours on the phone with her that night. And although we were thousands of miles away, we made it through that night together. Sometimes I hear my sister say words in Arabic. I don't often know what they are. I wonder if I heard her say Alhamdulillah that night. Maybe to the doctors, the nurses, the friends that were showing up. The night was definitely a blur, but I do know that she was much calmer than I would have been had I been the mother of a child in the hospital that night.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
The first surah in the Quran, recited each time Muslims go to pray. When my sister and my brother-in-law realized that I was interested in helping all of you learn about Islam during this month of Ramadan, they said I should definitely play it for you. It's very important to them, and they really wanted to share it. They actually sent it to me last week, and I thought, well, it's not really where I'm going with things, and I set it aside. Admittedly, I do sometimes bump up against that struggle with religious language and a theology that I can't embrace. But then my sister sent me a video explaining what that surah means to them. So I finally watched it yesterday and I thought, well, wait a minute, that is where I'm going with this awakening thing. I'm trying to find the path that awakens us to what really matters. So although my theology, and probably yours too, is different, the underlying idea of how to be in this world is one we can embrace. And that underlying idea is centered in gratitude. Alhamdulillah. So this is what I take away as a Unitarian Universalist from the first surah. It encourages knowing and being grateful for the ways in which the universe, or Allah, works. It is about being in awe of the many miraculous wonders of life, about paying attention to them. It is about being kind and generous to all of creation, because all of creation, you, me, and everything, is divine. And understanding that giving to this life is the path to contentment. The first surah is about being so grateful for all the gifts that we have in our own lives that we endeavor to give them to others. It is about knowing that all things are divine and that the path to mercy, and they seem to use that word a lot, mercy is through gratitude and not bitterness. Mercy and contentment are about awakening to all the moments of life through a deep gratitude of the Spirit, all day, every day, and saying, Alhamdulillah. I invite you now to pause and let us enter into a practice of spiritual gratitude, one that awakens you in every moment, as if every moment were indeed a fresh moment.
This is an excerpt from the poem entitled Imaginary Conversation by Linda Paston. You tell me to live every day as if it were my last. But why the last, I ask? Why not live each day as if it were the first? All raw astonishment. Eve rubbing her eyes awakened that morning.
Let us enter a moment of meditation as if it were the first morning of this life, as if we hold an infinite amount of gratitude for the spirit of life and all that it has given us. Sit comfortably, breathe, and watch and enjoy. I've spent so much time lately trying to figure out how to awaken to what really matters. We're coming out of a pandemic in which we were severely limited in what we could do. And now life has opened up to us again, but it can seem overwhelming at times. How do we know what is the most important way to spend our time? We want to enjoy our life and be grateful for it, but there are so many things to do, and also, all of this bad stuff is going on in the world around us. We want to help, but it really is such a dreadful mess that we might end up just feeling helpless and in a pit of despair, wondering what is the most important thing we should be doing? What really matters? There's been this post going around Facebook by American novelist Anne Lamott, and I kept seeing my friends reposting it and saying, this is exactly what I needed today. And I kept passing it by, thinking it's probably not really where I'm going with things. And then finally yesterday I read it and I said, this is exactly where I'm going with this awakening thing. And I think it puts into words, and in the context of a culture and theology that we can relate to, some of what the message of Alhamdulillah and the first surah is about. This was written by Anne Lamott just the other day, April 5th, 2022. She wrote, I'm going to be 68 in 6 days. That's today. If I live that long, I'm optimistic, mostly. God, what a world. What a heartbreaking, terrifying freak show. It is completely ruining my birthday plans.
I was going to celebrate how age and the grace of myopia have given me the perspective that almost everything sorts itself out in the end. That goodwill and decency and charity and love always eventually conspire to bring light into the darkest corners. That the crucifixion looked like a big win for the Romans. But turning 68 means you weren't born yesterday. Turning 68 means you've seen what you've seen. Ukraine, Sandy Hook, the permafrost, Marjorie Taylor Greene. By 68, you have seen dear friends literally ravaged by cancer, lost children, unspeakable losses. The midterms are coming up. My mind is slipping. My dog died. Really, to use the theological terms, it is just too friggin' much. And regrettably, by 68, one is both seriously uninterested in a vigorous debate on the existence of evil, or even worse, a pep talk. So what does that leave? Glad you asked, she wrote. The answer is simple. A few very best friends with whom you can share your truth. That's the main thing. By 68, you know that the whole system of our lives works because we are not all nuts on the same day. You call someone and tell them that you hate everyone in all of life, and they will be glad you called. They felt that way 3 days ago, and you helped them pull out of it by making them laugh or a cup of tea. You took them for a walk or to Target. Also, besides our friends getting outside and looking up and around changes us. Remember, you can trap bees on the bottom of mason jars with a bit of honey and without a lid because they don't look up. They just walk around, bitterly bumping into the glass walls. That is so me, she says. All they have to do is look up and fly away. So we look up. In 68 years, I have never seen a boring sky. I have never felt blasé about the moon or bird song or paper whites. Referring to spring, she says, it is a crazy drunken clown college outside our windows now, almost too much beauty and renewal to take in. The world is warming up. Well, how does us appreciating spring help the people of Ukraine? If we believe in chaos theory and the butterfly effect, that the flapping of a monarch's wings near my home can lead to a weather change in Tokyo, then maybe noticing beauty, flapping our wings with amazement, changes things in ways we cannot begin to imagine. It means goodness is quantum. Even to help the small world helps. Even prayer, which seems to do nothing. Everything is connected. She goes on, but quantum is perhaps a little esoteric in our current condition. Well, mine, I'm sure you're just fine. I think infinitely less esoteric stuff at 68. Probably best to have both feet on the ground, ogle the daffodils, take a sack of canned goods over to the food pantry and pick up trash. This helps our insides enormously. So Sunday, I will celebrate the absolutely astonishing miracle that I, specifically, was even born. As Frederick Buckner wrote, the grace of God means something like, here is your life. You might never have been, but you are, because the party wouldn't have been complete without you. I will celebrate that I have shelter and friends and warm socks and feet to put in them, and that God, or Gus, found a way to turn the madness and shame of my addiction into grace. I'll shake my head with wonder, which I do more and more as I age, at all the beauty that is left, and all that still works after so much has been taken away. So celebrate with me. Step outside and let your mouth drop open. Feed the poor with me, locally, or if you want to buy me something, make a donation to UNICEF. My party will not be the same without
birthday, Anne Lamott, and thank you for reminding us that it matters that we flap our wings in amazement, that we awaken to all the beauty, and if we can muster up the courage, to all the tragedy. And we say, Alhamdulillah, thank you, Spirit of life, for all that is and all that remains, and all that will be. Alhamdulillah is spiritual gratitude. It has the potential to awaken us to what really matters. Spiritual gratitude opens us up to the wholeness of life, not just the good parts. Spiritual gratitude keeps fear at bay. Spiritual gratitude leads us to grace, mercy, and hope, because a deep awareness of life leads to a deep relationship with life. To be grateful is to be awake enough to know what your gifts are and to want to give them to life. So what is it that really matters? To awaken to what really matters is nothing more than to notice all the secrets of life. Don't go back to sleep. Don't slumber through this life. Notice it. Open to it. Be in it. Give to it. Alhamdulillah. I have a gift for you today. On behalf of my sister and her family, I share with you the blessing of dates. Dates is what Muslims eat to break their fast. Dates are thought to be, well, they are, full of nutrients. And so, of course, after fasting all day from sun up to sundown, you're quite hungry and you need something nutritious to eat. And so they have a dinner. So Glenda and Petra will pass out a date to anyone who would like one. And if you don't worry, we have potluck after service. And I will share with you one of my most favorite things in the world, something I am always so grateful for, something that does really awaken me, and that is the songs of birds. Yes, you can eat it now, enjoy it, savor it. Thank you. Know all the ways of this deep practice of gratitude. I don't know because I haven't practiced it every day throughout the day for my entire life.
I don't know because it is not necessarily a part of our American culture. That's one of the things that is so wonderful about Unitarian Universalism. We have 6 sources of wisdom, one of which is the world's religions. But this source doesn't direct us to just learn about other theologies and perhaps choose one. No. It is about learning about life and the way to live it that other cultures and religious peoples arrive at through their theologies, and to help us build a theology for this living Unitarian Universalist religion. To build a multicultural, diverse, beloved community that brings us towards spiritual wholeness is what our 8th principle calls us to do. In our Unitarian Universalist faith, we open up to others, we learn from others, and we are grateful for that. Alhamdulillah. So just as these chrysales here in our sanctuary will open, and the sacred creatures will have wings, so too will we open, and so too will our wings unfurl as we recognize that which really matters. Please join me in singing hymn number 396, I Know This Rose Will Open.
All right, we're going to do 396, I Know This Rose Will Open. Do we have lyrics on the screen?
No, I passed out.
Okay, so go ahead and open up your hymnals if you don't know this one. It's pretty easy. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Number 396. Now, this is again a round. So we'll sing it all through together once. And then this side, you can follow Peter and Joshua. That side, follow Mark and Glenda.
Sing loud.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. We're gonna go. I know this rose. I know this rose. I know my fear. I know my fear. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Will open.
Alhamdulillah. We have now come upon the moment when we can share our treasures with this community as an act of faith. When we each give what we can back to life, we serve a greater good, creating a powerful beauty that can change the world. Before we pass the plates, I invite Rachel Walter and Glenda Littlehale to share with us why they give to this UUCL community.
Community, community, community. I give of my time, talent, and treasure because this is my community. Not just the community I want, but the community I need. The community where when I tell my 2 boys that I'm against racism, I can show them that. The community to where if my son ever has any negative effects from who he loves, he will know that without even anyone saying a word, that he is valid in whatever his feelings are. Also, this is not just my community. This is the community for tons of people even for those who don't know it yet.
I give to support a community that feeds my soul in so many ways. I give to support a community that gathers around me when I'm in crisis. I give to support a community that I can be part of to gather when someone else is in crisis. I give to support a community that endeavors to make space for and address needs outside our walls. I give to support a community that promotes love and kindness and seeks to transform the world around us. We, as a church community and as individuals, do so much to lift up rather than put down.
While our ushers pass the plates for your offering, our musicians will serenade us. Our closing words are a poem from our good friend John Hughes. He sent it to me this week because I put out a call for poetry. And he too seemed to know where I was going with this awakening thing. I wake up today, the sun kisses my cheek. I invent my reality for the day that I seek. Will it be good? Will it be bad? Will it be happy? Will it be sad? It's all in my mind and how I react. When the sun's kisses stop, you can't bring it back. Thank you, John.
Please join me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love,
or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.
Go now out into the world and say thank you to the Spirit of life for all that is. And remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are a blessing. Alhamdulillah.
Yep.